Okay, so believe me when I say your first year as a realtor will probably be a complete learning curve. Most likely you're gonna have so many questions as you really begin to get your feet wet and learn the business. That's why I believe it is so important that once you pass your real estate exam, to find a brokerage that's gonna be with you every step of the way as a new real estate agent. Once you get started, you're gonna need help with knowing just how to get your name out there, and most importantly, what you need to do to generate business and to become a successful realtor. Here are things that I wish I would have known and things for you to consider when it's time to choose a brokerage. So one major factor to consider is, do you want to hang your license with a big name franchise, or do you want to join a smaller boutique type brokerage? Now when I say bigger franchises, I'm talking the Keller Williams, Coldwell Bankers, Remaxes of the world, those large brokerages that are spread out all over the country or over the world. Now, if you don't want to join one of that size, there are smaller boutique brokerages that, don't have so many agents, but either side has its advantages and disadvantages. So it's really important to really understand what comes with each type of brokerage. I will say when it comes to the larger franchises, typically you will be provided, access to more resources that you can utilize for your business. So for instance, for your listings or just materials that you can give your clients or to use for prospecting, things like that. They have, ready-made resources that you can use or tools that you can use for your business. Now, it's not going to be necessarily 100% free depending on what it is, but essentially they kind of have that already readily available for you for your business. Also, with the larger brokerages, they may have offices or a number of offices in your area depending on how big your market is, which is pretty useful if you're out and you're meeting with clients and things like that. It's kind of convenient to have multiple offices that you can kind of go land, get some work done, or meet with clients that may be in that area and so forth. Whereas the smaller boutique brokerages, they might have a couple of offices, maybe one or two, and depending on your needs, this may not be a big factor for you, but it's just something to consider when it comes to considering each type of brokerage. So for newer agents, I do feel like larger franchises that can provide you with tools and resources that you need to run your business in the beginning is really helpful. So for instance, having mailers readily available that you can just get from your brokerage, or business cards. Newer agents most likely don't already have all of that stuff for their business. Now, that's not to say that the smaller independent firms don't have those things for their agents. I'm just saying either way, when it comes down to choosing a brokerage and you sit down with a brokerage that is a larger franchise versus the smaller independent firms, just make sure that you ask them, what do I have access to as far as tools that I need or equipment that I need to run my business. Also, another benefit of larger franchises is that typically they do provide opportunities for agents to take training classes to continue to learn and build new skills, or they'll even provide continuing education classes which are required to maintain your real estate license. Overall, when it comes to larger franchises or small independent firms, my recommendation is just to make sure you sit down with at least one of both, and have the same questions for them. See what they offer. You can compare and contrast in the end and see which one is better for you. When you pass your real estate exam, you'll quickly realize that you did all of that studying just to learn how to not break the law when it comes to real estate. Once you pass the exam and you really get out in the field, you'll realize that you still don't know about the business. You really don't know, how to navigate transactions, how to write up contracts, or everything that's pretty much essential to being a real estate agent. For me, for instance, I made sure that I, took all of the training classes that were available for agents that was provided by my brokerage. They even offered a special program for newer agents where you take each class to hone in on different skills and really learn. And I really thought that it was really helpful for me, just because, like I said, coming in, you don't really know anything and it can be very overwhelming. So in my opinion, Education is so important your first couple years because you're really going to want to learn as much as you can to really build the confidence that you need to be a successful real estate agent. Now, for experienced agents, you know, training classes and things like that is not a top priority. So again, this video is for newer agents, and I feel like I'll probably have someone in the comments, you know, about, you know, saying, well, that's not really a big factor. But again, for my newer agents, my recommendation is to at least make sure that when you sit down with a brokerage, with, you know, someone from the brokerage, make sure that you ask what continuing education or training classes do they offer their newer agents. All right, and so the third factor that I think is very important to consider is, as a newer agent, and let's say you get your first client and, you know, it's time to write up your contract, and some unique situation pops up that you just don't know how to navigate. You're like, what do I do? That's when your brokers come in, because your brokers should be there to help you navigate any issues that, you know, come up that you're not knowledgeable of, you know, how to solve. And as a newer agent, if you don't feel like you are supported by your brokers, then you kind of feel like you're just left out there, you know, hanging to dry. You're also failing your client because you're not able to, you know, to answer the question that they may have or solve the problem that just came up. So broker support is so important as a newer agent, because you just want to make sure that when you're in need and you really need that support, that you have a broker or brokers, because there can be more than one, that are there for you when it's important. And so really the only way to know if that level of support is available to you is to see if you can sit down with an agent who's already with the brokerage and just see what their experience is. You can ask them, you know, what was their experience with their brokers and did they feel like they were supported? Now, the fourth factor that I think is so important to consider is really understanding the brokerage's reputation or their success. I probably would have saved myself some frustration in the beginning, because I ended up joining a brokerage that was just a complete disaster that I ended up leaving within 2 weeks. It was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, but that's why I'm making this video, because I want to help you guys to avoid that type of situation. But again, really knowing about the brokerage's reputation or their success in your market is really important as a new agent. One way you can ask about this is just ask the brokerages about their numbers. They will know their production or their sales volume, and don't be afraid to ask that. You can even ask them the number of homes that they sold in the past year. One thing that I've learned is that all successful real estate agents or brokerages know their numbers. And if someone tells you that, oh, the numbers don't matter, or you know, that's not the main point, that's cap. All successful real estate agents know their numbers. And so the last factor, which I'm sure is most important to everyone, are the commission and fees that are charged by the brokerage. So let's talk about the commission splits. Anytime you sell a home, you are gonna have some sort of split with your brokerage. So when you go to the closing and you're all happy and you're with your client, you know, sometimes you'll get the check right there, or sometimes the check will go straight to your brokerage and then they'll split it with you. Now, the commission split is the #1 factor when agents choose a brokerage, because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we have a commission split that we can live with. Normally, you can get larger splits if after you sell so many homes. So either way, this is something that you will want to make sure that you ask when you're interviewing with a brokerage. Okay, so those are the factors that I wish I would have known prior to joining a brokerage. It took me joining a brokerage and learning that that was absolutely not it for me to then go in and really learn about what are the key factors that I should have asked about prior to choosing a brokerage. And like I said before, as a new agent, your first couple years are critical, because you really want to make sure that you have access to the tools and resources that you need to become a successful real estate agent. All right, guys, so if you found any of this information helpful, please do me a favor and make sure that you like this video. Leave me a comment down below of some of the thoughts that you've been having or questions that you've been having. If it's time for you to choose a brokerage, or you're planning to do so in the future. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you subscribe. I have more videos coming, especially for newer agents. That's all for this video, so I will see you guys in the next one.